It's my honor to have been a part of this task force. Extremely well organized across the board, although I will tell you that my military mentality still follows me around. You know, when you travel with a bunch of civilians and they say we'll meet around 8 o'clock in the morning, that doesn't hack it with me. It's got to be at 8, 8:01, 8:05, but I think we finally got that squared away over time. An extraordinary group that went on our travels to the Middle East. I was very impressed with our access to some very, very high levels in the countries we visited, Israel, Jordan, Qatar, and Bahrain. Received some invaluable insights, and I can't say enough good things about my co-panelists and travelers, Nancy and Bill. A great team, got along well, and it was a very, very worthwhile trip. Well, what I am not going to do today is summarize a report for you. You can read that and you can get your own summary. What I do want to do is focus on a couple aspects of the report and our deliberations having to do with deterrence. Can we deter Iran in terms of developing nuclear weapons? Before I do that, though, I would like to just make a statement, and this is a personal, professional statement from Eugene Habiger, but in the past 2 or 3 months, we've had very senior level officials in the United States government make statements that the greatest national security challenge facing the United States today, Mike Hayden and Dennis Blair, the greatest security challenge facing the United States today is the situation in Mexico with the narco situation down there. And living as I do in South Central Texas, I'm very intimately familiar with what's going on in that part of the world. But I will tell you, from my perspective, of what's going on in the Middle East, what's going on in Iran, far exceeds what's going on in Mexico in terms of the impact on the world and stability as we know it today, not only in the Middle East, but across the planet. Well, let's talk just for a few minutes, if I may, about deterrence. Can we deter the Iranians? Well, I say yes, we can. Deterrence is not a Cold War concept. It's still viable today. It's still a viable doctrine. And the United States, interestingly enough, has recently, last year, on 2 different occasions, made some statements which put deterrence, in my view, back into the forefront. And I'm surprised that the media really hasn't picked up on this particular issue. But on the 8th of February of last year, Stanford University, then National Security Advisor to President Bush, gave a speech in which he says, and I quote, "The United States has made clear for many years that it reserves the right to respond with overwhelming force," that's translatable into nuclear weapons, "to the use of weapons of mass destruction against the U.S., our people, our forces, our allies," and this is new, ladies and gentlemen, "and our friends." It's a major policy shift. In October of last year, Secretary of Defense Gates, Carnegie Institute, gave a speech, and he used the exact same words. That inclusion of our friends puts this whole issue of deterrence, in my view, in a totally different dimension. It's not a new concept. Hillary Clinton, in early 2008, on the campaign trail, made a similar assertion about extending our nuclear umbrella to our friends and allies in the Middle East. That was downgraded significantly in the U.S. press, but that issue of deterrence has been received loud and clear in Tehran. They understand it, and I, with think that they will respond appropriately, knowing that the United States has made it very, very clear publicly that this is an issue. By the same token, there's I connected two of the dots for you. There's a third dot that I think should be connected in this concept of deterrence, and that is in December of last year, the Schlesinger report, that's the task force on the U.S. nuclear forces. The Schlesinger report made it very, very clear in phase 2 of the report that the United States must do significant things very, very quickly to improve the tactical nuclear forces of the United States, both air and sea capability. So if you connect those three dots, in my view, we have a whole new dimension concerning nuclear deterrence and extending the umbrella, especially to the Middle East. So deterrence is alive and well. You don't have to deploy nuclear weapons to any particular area to have a nuclear umbrella. We've extended our nuclear umbrella to South Korea, Japan, Australia, without deploying nuclear weapons forward recently. And of course, our NATO allies, we have nuclear weapons, tactical nuclear weapons bedded down in some of our NATO countries. So the nuclear umbrella deterrence has been extended. I think it's going to play a major role in where we're going in the future with the Iranian nuclear program. And with that, I'll stop and turn it over to Bill.